Hello there, and thank you for joining us for this WRR 101 Focus on the Arts. I'm Amy Bishop, honored to be joined by three special guests with a story more thrilling than any Hollywood movie, especially any Timothy Chalamet movie. Uh, Before we make introductions, though, let me set the scene. Our story begins on a dark and stormy night, Wednesday, March 4th in Dallas, Texas. But actually, it began less than 12 hours before that when the folks from the Dallas Opera learned that Stephen Costello, the lead for that evening's production of Don Carlo, had fallen ill. That led to a call to tenor Arturo Chacon-Cruz, who was able to fly to Dallas from Florida within hours and made it to the Winsper Opera House 30 minutes before curtain. And that is where I'm going to let my guests step in to continue this story. And it's a pleasure to be joined by Ian Derrer, the Kern Wildenthal General Director and CEO of the Dallas Opera, plus Ryan Lescalleet, who served as Assistant Director for this production and who inadvertently made his Dallas Opera main stage debut that evening. And last but not least, our action hero who saved the day, tenor Arturo Chacon-Cruz, who also made his Dallas Opera debut on that very memorable night. Welcome to you all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Amy.
Amy.
Ian, I'm going to start with you. Walk us through your day on that Wednesday, beginning with the decision to reach out to Arturo. How did it all unfold?
Well, the day really began with a phone call no general director wants on the day of a performance, especially when you don't have an understudy or a cover in Dallas. And that was that Stephen was not feeling well and was not going to be able to sing. And so I got this phone call from David Lomeli, who is our artistic consultant, and we always have a list of people that we would go to in our time of need. But at this point, time was really of the essence. And so Arturo, we knew the role. These are all the basic questions you have to ask. Do they know the role? Do they know the version? Are they in proximity? Do you have enough time to fly them there? And all of these things we were kind of weighing. And I think Arturo can probably speak to the challenges. We even changed airports mid day because traffic was becoming bad to get to Fort Lauderdale. So we switched you to Miami, if I remember, which further delayed a flight. So it was kind of one of those things that if it magically lined up, it was going to be a miracle, and that's kind of what it turned out to be. When Arturo walked in the Windspear stage door at 7 o'clock, there was such a sigh of relief, and then they threw the costume on him, and it fit, which was another sigh of great relief. There was just kind of a mad dash of assault by music staff, I would say, and production staff on Arturo, but he was completely. I mean, he was unflappable. I've never seen anything like it. So I'll let Arturo and Ryan tell their story.
Well, Ian, what would have happened if there was a flight delay or if there was traffic on the way to the Windspear from the airport and he didn't make it to the venue on time? I mean, would the show have not gone on?
We would have probably been forced to have various members of music staff or choristers sing different role parts of the role. It would have been a very unique performance. I'll put it that way.
Well, Arturo, walk us through your version of that day as well, beginning with getting that phone call. Before we actually started recording, you did share some experiences, some similar experiences. So could you reshare those and tell me what made this one different?
Well, Amy, it's so great to talk to you and to relive this very, very exciting experience. I think the whole day, my stress level was. I have this Oura ring that measures my stress, and I probably never had so much stress in a single day. But it was all worth it. Well, my day started very normally. I woke up actually quite early to play with my son because it was the last day I was going to be home before heading to New York, where I'm right now, singing La Traviata. And then from here, I'm doing three more jobs. So I won't be home until June. So I woke up, started hanging out with my son, and then I had a doctor's appointment, my checkup before I left. And while I was at the doctor's appointment, I see my phone. I had it on silent, and I see a missed call from David Lomeli, who rarely, if ever, calls me. And like, okay, this is odd. I'm gonna call him back as soon as I finish. My doctor stepped out for a minute, so I called him. Is everything okay? He's like, oh, we're in a bind. Steven hasn't canceled yet. He's at the ENT, but let me confirm. You sing Don Carlo, yes? Do you know the Italian four acts? Yes, I do. Um, and okay, more soon. And then we hung up. I finished my doctor's appointment. I was on my way home. Lots of traffic in Miami. And David calls me back. Okay, it's confirmed. He's canceled. Let's look for flights. Your agent is not answering. My agent, who has to, authorize everything. I said, don't worry about the agent. Let's do this, and then worry about the agent some other time. They started looking at the flight from Fort Lauderdale that would have put me there at around 4:30, perhaps 5:30. But it was just too difficult, too much traffic. I wouldn't have made it, and it would have made it impossible for me to catch the Miami flight. So we decided to take the Miami flight, and I went home, grabbed my suitcase, and went to the airport with my score in hand, trying to refresh it. It had been 4 years since my last four-act Italian Don Carlo, and it's like 400 pages, of music, very similar. And I had just done Ballo in Maschera that is so similar. Actually, this will be an insider's note. One of the cadenzas I did as Don Carlo, it was not from Don Carlo, it was from Ballo in Maschera. And I saw the conductor's face panic. But it started on the same note and it finished on the same note. So my brain thought it was that. So that's one. Anyway, on the plane studying, I was in the middle seat, the most uncomfortable of them all. The only seat probably remaining on that plane. So we got lucky on that aspect as well. As soon as I got into the WindSphere, there was Ryan, and he took me by the arm and he started, I'll be with you the whole time. I'm going to be on stage with you, and I'm going to be telling you more or less where to go and what happens. And okay, perfect. Then Maestro Guillaume came and said, okay, so I do this in four, and I do this in, how do you do this? How do you do this? Like, Maestro, let's just look at each other. And it, I don't know, it was a miracle that we didn't have a train wreck out there, because it it is a lot of music, is very complicated, and the staff, the cast, everybody was so supportive and so amazing to give me their, you know little directions here, the directions there, and their smiles alone, breathing with me, that was all I could have asked for.
So you haven't sung this role in 4 years. So you brought your score on the plane and you're just like trying to like refresh your memory on this flight from Florida to
Yes.
Dallas and praying that you just remember, and it all just came back like riding a bicycle.
Probably, yeah. It the I think somebody should um do a study on the brain of an opera singer, because we create synapses, we connect them, and it's funny, if you ask me right now to recite a line of Don Carlo, I'll probably fail. But the moment I hear the music, it just connects and it just goes.
Yeah.
Um, add to that, of course, that little sleep and the tiredness, the exhaustion. I was worried about the voice working. Thank goodness it all worked. So there's a lot of things to juggle up there.
Yeah, and just even warming up. I'm like, I was imagining you being like in an Uber and just like warming up inside for the Uber driver or for whoever picked you up
Yeah,
in the
they
car.
they were very smart. They got a car service, and the guy was waiting for me at the door. So not exactly an Uber, but I told him, you mind if I warm up? And that there's the famous story of my mentor Placido Domingo, who stepped in for Corelli here at the Met in 1978, I believe. Um, and he um he was warming up in the taxi, and people would the day after, people gave their account to the newspaper that they could hear a tenor warming up along Broadway, you know. So that was my poor driver. His name is was Carlos. And he was like, Carlos, you're gonna forgive me. And I started warming up in the car.
I'm sure he loved it, and I'm sure he couldn't wait to tell all of his friends also, because that was probably a very memorable night for him as well. Um, well, Ryan, tell me what it was like on your end. You know, we think about something like this, and we think about everything happening on the stage, but it's a hive behind the stage too. And what was it like for you as the assistant stage director to make sure that everything did go smoothly, and to help Arturo through the cues of where to stand and when and so on?
Well, you use the term hive. I mean, that's exactly what it is. There's so many people that have to operate in harmony with each other. I mean, from Ian down, everyone maintaining that composure and that calmness of a steady hand through every decision. It kind of gave me, I mean, this is my first show. So it gave me a sense of this is business as usual, and we are going to move forward and we're going to make this work. But yeah, I mean, the costume people, the company management, everybody having to work with the understanding that we're all going to pitch in and we are going to do a show tonight. I mean, whatever that might mean. So that was just really cool to be a part of all that. But I will say that the moment when it got a little close, when nerves almost got to me, is when I was getting fitted for a costume. That's just not really on the directing side of the table, just not really something that I've experienced much. So when I put that costume on and looked in the mirror, I was like, oh boy, this is something. Something's happening here.
You looked the
So then,
part, I have to say, Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
well, yeah, and talk about that, because Catherine did mention that you were on stage, and how was that working out with between you and Arturo to kind of lead him along the way, and make sure he was in the right place. And because Arturo, this, you had never done this particular staging before, right?
I hadn't, no.
And yeah, it's all about blending in. The costume did a great job of that, but there's big chorus moments where there's just a bunch of people on stage, and kind of finding my place in the middle of them, but still being able to see Arturo. And you know, he didn't need much. He's unbelievable. I just couldn't even believe how many dots he was able to connect with a real just crash course information. But I was there as a knowing nod. You know, a couple different times there was, hey, you can travel here, or that sword's right there, or you know, things to make the scene happen. But honestly, Arturo just ran with it, and he was incredible.
Oh, thanks. No, no, you were very good at very gently. You just turn around and say, "Go for the light." Oh, see the light. Very, very good. And I have to say
Um,
also, Ian, on the every time I would come off stage, your face, your I don't know, just your presence there was also very calming. Just so you know, I never said it because we were in
Oh.
such a rush. So
I
Yeah,
was
I
also
was backstage the whole night. I mean, it was kind of, one, just to be a presence back there, but it was also a little bit of a personal joy to be able to see something like that come together, I have to say.
I was curious about what it was like when, Arturo, when you were off stage. Were there people trying to like run through everything with you? Like, here's what's going on next, like a play by play of like your huddle in a huddle saying 1, 2, 3, 4, this is what's going to happen, this is where you need to be in the next scene, next act, and so on.
that was Ian, Ryan. Ryan had a paper with the exact running of the shows. Like, you have 13 minutes. Thank God, nobody has ever told me that before. You have 19 minutes to go and get some tea or coffee. I had like four coffees. I think I was very tired. But yeah, Ryan was also giving me those instructions, and my favorite was somebody backstage. I couldn't tell if she was wearing a mask. Who it was? It was like, "Would you like a tour of the Windspear?" I was like, "Not right now."
Like, yes, that sounds great. How, okay, we've got 13 minutes. Okay, let's go for it. Yeah, so Arturo, you had talked about how you've had similar experiences of being called for at the last minute. Um, can you share a couple of those stories you shared with us before our interview started?
Yes, for sure. So probably the top three were before this one. Number one was Barcelona. I was singing in Valencia, which is a 3.5 hour car ride. It's not a big deal. So I had to take a taxi because there were no buses or planes for that day for to sing Werther, which is another very difficult piece. But Werther is one of my most sung roles, so it was a very comfortable piece for me to sing. I can sing it in my sleep. Um, the problem was also I also arrived like 45 minutes to an hour before the show. My colleague who got sick, who was about my same size, I wear the same size as Steven Costello now and Piotr Bechawa, so that's something to know. um, had the same costume, so no need for adjustments. And I went on stage. And instead of having the assistant director walk with me, it was my friend Albert, and he had a little laser pointer. And he would just point it on the stage, and I would go to follow the laser pointer. That was the toughest one up until now. Then it was Monte Carlo that I jumped in for Manon Masnes. That was very difficult with lots of French dialogue. Again, no rehearsal at all. But I had the same conductor I had done it with before, so it was very comfortable. And the cast, I knew everybody, so it was even though I flew the night before, I slept the night and I went on stage the next day with no rehearsal. That was very difficult. And then the one that happened a couple of years ago was here at the Met that I jumped in mid performance as Trovatore in as Manrico. It was very difficult, but it went really well, and that's why I'm back here now. I got to sing 4 performances as Manrico last year, and they gave me as a reward for, you know, uh, jumping in the Traviata that I'm doing right now. So it's nice.
That's kind of you've kind of built yourself a little niche there with being the guy to call when we
I
need to
mean,
call someone and we need him here now. Call Arturo.
at
He'll
least
deliver.
they know that I can do it under pressure. I can deliver. It's very difficult, and I've had many colleagues, fall flat on their faces situations like this, and it's really hard. I hope I can keep this in my bag of tricks.
I mean, this is just a situation where really you're running on coffee and adrenaline, right? I mean, all of you must have just been like operating on a level 15 out of, out of 10, if that makes sense. But I can't imagine what, like you said, the stress and the pressure and the adrenaline and all of that combined. And Ian, what a way to close out your season with the Dallas Opera.
Yeah.
It said you got a curveball for sure for this.
Yeah, it was a remarkable night, and I've had a lot of nights in the theater and a lot of close calls, but this was something I had not experienced in a long time. But I have to say, I mean, Arturo I mean, you are such a professional. I mean, it really is
Thank you.
incredible, and to see the whole opera company kind of shift focus and say, all right, we all we all have to move into support mode, and what that meant for each department. I mean, opera is so complex, and whether it was wardrobe or wigs or music staff or company management arranging delivery of this, that, and the other, and making sure that the flights were all coordinated for the next day. All of these things had to be lined
Yes.
up, and it's more than one person could ever really do. So that's pretty much a testament to what it's like to bring something like this together.
My significant other and I were talking about this event afterwards, and he is a professional musician as well, and he brought up a great point, which is why it's always important just to be ready to keep those chops up practice every day, take care of your instrument, in your case, your voice, because you never know when you're going to get the call. Arturo, you're in it now, so it's not like you've had a chance to, it's you're working all the time. So I think that's a big part of it too. Is just you're on your A game all the time.
Yeah, it's become. I have to say, I come from a generation. I'm around the first generation, probably around the first 4 or 5 years of the birth of the young artist programs in the United States. I came through the Houston Grand Opera young artist program. And before then, there were 4 or 5 generations before my generation. And the Metropolitan Opera started it. And then now most theaters have one young artist program. But we had the culture of hyper preparing the young singers. It's funny because every time I show up to an orchestra rehearsal, I have to put a suit on, and people, all my colleagues that go in sneakers and t-shirts, is like, why do you wear a suit still? It's like, because at the HGO they would send you home if you weren't wearing a suit. So they really instilled this be ready, and it happened in Houston. Funny enough, I had forgotten about this other jump in. I was singing my own performances of Butterfly, 5 performances I had scheduled the week after, and the first cast gentleman fell ill, and they called me at 7 in the morning to jump in for 2 o'clock in Houston at home. But I was ready, and I did it, and of course that's what they were training me for. And I think, and I tell my students, you have to, when I hear a mistake in their Italian, a mistake in their notes, it's like, why? Don't let this be the mark that will define you. You have to be as perfect as you can. Of course, I'm not asking them to be perfect, but be as prepared as they can. So it has become a sort of a discipline and like a badge of honor I wear, that I'm always prepared. I'm always memorized. I'm always, when I show up to a rehearsal or to a new production, I and it's not happening anymore. Many of the young artist programs have become more relaxed, and because of the new culture that you're not we were not abused in a bad way, but we were sort of abused. They were very strict with us, and I guess there's a little bit to say about that sort of training, that it does work.
Well, and I guess, and you brought up a point which was earlier. I guess you already had your bag packed because you were planning on leaving the next day, right? So you already had your suitcase ready to go.
Yeah, I had my flight. Actually, while I was at the airport in Miami, I had to cancel my flight to New York because I was leaving the same day. Yeah.
And I'm sure that once they got a hold of your agent, you were forgiven.
No, yes, for sure. And actually, it was David who called the Met, and he asked for
Okay.
permission for me to arrive late,
Okay.
and they gave permission. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, we'll just ask for forgiveness. It'll all work out.
But it
Um,
happens. I mean, when they lose someone, I'm sure, yeah, you would release someone from rehearsals to go save a
Oh,
performance somewhere
sure.
else.
Yeah. The shoe
Absolutely.
has been on the other foot many a time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And then, okay, tell me what happened when it ended. Did you guys go out and celebrate? Did you have to fly back immediately? Did you all just go home and sleep or what?
We
I
had
had
to
some
fly at about
ungodly early flight. Yeah.
7 a.m. Yes. Yeah, I had to be at work, and I showed up to rehearsal here. So, yeah, it is what it is. The show must go on. I was so, I don't know, excited, and like the nerves wouldn't come down. I slept like 2 hours because like my heart kept pumping, my adrenaline high. But let me tell you, the amount of messages. If you have a chance, go to the Dallas Opera Facebook page and see the amount of messages from the audience. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And also, like chorus members, I've gotten over 2 dozen messages from the chorus members on social media. Um, Funny enough, the casting director for the Met came this morning to tell me, "Oh, you were great. Oh, who told you?" that it went well. And I was there. I didn't know Brian Speck was there. Had
Yeah.
I known, I would
Yeah.
have been nervous.
That's incredible. Oh yeah, right? Yeah. Right. Well, I want to say bravo to you all and your team for such a superhuman feat. I mean, it really does speak to the caliber of the Dallas Opera to have this ability to just like have your head on a swivel and to pivot. And of course, to the tremendous talent and the musicianship of you, Arturo, for just seamlessly jumping in on a moment's notice. I mean, it's when I saw Catherine at the Wind Spirit that night, we were like, we've got to do a story about this. It's too good to not.
Thank you so much. And again, I cannot emphasize enough how great the team was. From Ryan to the makeup department to my dresser Susan, who was following me around with a bottle of water and being supportive. Everybody was just out of this world, supportive and kind, and I never felt that I could fail.
Love that. Well, Ryan, Arturo, Ian, Catherine, thank you so much for carving out time during your day to tell our listeners and viewers about to tell the story that's better than fiction. And congrats again to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Amy.
you.